Welcome to another edition of His Healthy Habits. And for today, I have a very special guest who's going to provide inspiration, information, and instruction on her expertise within her profession. And again, she's an important and special woman. I've had a great relationship for the last several years. And I'm really looking forward to the knowledge she's going to provide, because as I bring women on our podcast, these are all women of rare knowledge, which I have my acronym for WORK. So women who basically work. And I want to introduce this young lady, and her name is Eden. What's going on, Eden?
Hey, Richie. How are you?
Hey, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Man, it's good to have you across from me. So let's get right into it. So
Okay.
people are probably wondering, I know you're a superstar, but they need to know who this superstar is sitting across from me. So tell them who you are, what you do, and of course, they're going to be talking about life insurance today.
Yes. Well, my name is Eden Miss Gina. If you want to pronounce it the ethnic Eritrean way, it's Eden Misgana. But I am a local Houston insurance agent. I have been running and managing my insurance agency for 14 years now. But I've been in the insurance business collectively for almost 20. So before I went into the insurance business, I was in education for a brief stint. And before that, I was in insurance. So basically, I'm coming back to the insurance field, going 14 years strong. 14
years strong. That's how I know you. This knowledge and these gems we're about to give them is real.
Yes.
So, okay, before we dive into like life insurance specifically, what all insurances, or if that makes sense, do you kind of specialize in and provide?
Sure. And I'm considered an exclusive Allstate agency. There's two ways you can get into the insurance business, where you're providing insurance to the public, is to either be an exclusive agent where you exclusively represent one company, one brand. In my case, that's Allstate. Or you can be an independent agency where you're representing multiple companies like Allstate, State Farm, Progressive, Geico, what have you. So I have been representing and working exclusively with Allstate for 14 years. And we offer pretty much everything. We offer home insurance, car insurance, life insurance, commercial insurance, condo renters, flood, you name it all. We are a full service agency. We also have a division in my agency where we offer life and financial services. So I know we're getting ready to talk about the life insurance, because I think most people are familiar with home insurance and auto insurance. These are things that are very common, and people understand that they need to have those things. But a lot of times, I think people can miss the insurance, the life insurance part of it, and the financial side of it when they're just, taking care of their assets.
Yeah.
And so that's what we're going to talk about today.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Like, even for myself, being an entrepreneur over the last several years, and actually working at a 9-to-5 or from a corporate job, of course, yeah, you're right. Like, auto insurance, home insurance, that's a norm just based off the requirements, because they are required. But yeah, you're right. That's why I'm sitting here with you, and I appreciate your time, because I don't think, even from myself and my perspective, and a lot of entrepreneurs that I've come into contact with, they don't understand the necessity behind life insurance. We're like, I'm healthy, I'm young, I'm fit. Like, I'll wait. I'm not, you think life insurance, you think like, late 40s, 50s, 60s when you start investing that money, into that. So that's all I want to talk. So yeah, let's talk about, why life insurance? Let's just start with the basis of it. So, and why life insurance just for like an individual like myself? Because I know now we're kind of in that era, I call it the era of the entrepreneurs. Like, a lot of people are trying to start their own businesses or following their passions or their purposes. Why do you think it's necessary for those individuals like myself and the rest to lock in?
Absolutely. That's a great question. Well, let me start off with why life insurance. Life insurance is an insurance policy that pays or what it is, and then why. Because I think once you understand what it is, then you'll understand the why. So life insurance is a policy that pays whatever is a death benefit policy that pays to your beneficiary in the event of your death. So right now, as you stand, you wake up every day, as an entrepreneur, you're bringing in income to your family that's taking care of their daily needs, monthly needs, yearly needs, putting a roof over their head, putting food on the table, providing tuition for their school if they're in school. Now, if you die, what happens to that income? It's gone. So life insurance basically is income replacement. It's replacing your income that's still able to provide financial support to your family in the event that you're no longer here. And so why for entrepreneurs especially, everybody needs life insurance. But I think there's a what's the word? There's a hierarchy, if you would say. People that work for themselves, they don't have benefits, or they don't have benefits that a company is providing. A lot of times when you work for a corporation or a company, they do offer some level of life insurance protection while you're working for them. They might offer medical, they might offer life, they might offer disability, dental, what have you. But when you work for yourself, if you haven't secured some sort of plan, you're basically uncovered. But if anyone that has children, that has any assets they want to leave behind to someone else, should have life insurance. And I know you mentioned earlier about being young and healthy. That is the best time. Life insurance. A lot of times people think waiting is better.
Yeah.
Actually, that's the opposite. The opposite is true. Waiting is not the best because you want to capitalize on your insurance rates for life insurance are based on your health and your age. So the younger you are, the healthier you are, the better off you'll be in terms of securing a lower premium for your insurance plan. And you talked about right now with people being serial entrepreneurs, which is wonderful. Working for yourself is the best. Of course, there's some challenges that come with that, but working for yourself is truly, truly the goal for many people. But that's even more reason why people really need to stop and think about, okay, as an entrepreneur, my family literally depends on my paycheck every week, every month, whatever the case may be. So you really want to think about putting some sort of plan in place for life insurance for your family.
Yeah, and I think that's a good foundation of understanding. So say you're the entrepreneur, and I think every entrepreneur, just in general, every person who's starting their own business and trying to generate their own income initially, their own way that they go through these thoughts. And I know for myself, I did and I still am. You know the things that you're required to pay for in regards to insurance, but why, I guess how is it feasible for somebody who may be starting and they're using honestly every penny of their income to go towards everything else in the business?
Yeah.
These are the thoughts of an entrepreneur. How is it feasible from your perspective to allocate or budget, for life insurance?
That's a great question too, because I know as entrepreneurs you have, and people don't understand that as people that are not in the business of owning a business for themselves don't understand the cost that it takes to run a business. There's a lot of overhead. So somebody might see you thinking that you're making all this money, but it's actually you reinvesting a lot of that back into your business so it can continue to grow. So I understand the budgeting that's required of business owners, but it really needs to be a priority. It needs to be the first thing you do. Because again, depending on, and life insurance is very personal, it's very individually based. Because not every person has the same level of need for that in that moment. But if you're an entrepreneur that has a family, it may be more important, more critical for you to make sure that you budget in off the top before you start looking at other things to budget life insurance versus someone that maybe is single and they're just young, they don't have anybody depending on them financially. If you're an individual that has that if you're a person that someone is depending on your income, you really need life insurance. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, I get it. I guess my question is say you're that entrepreneur and maybe you're averaging, we'll say when you first start, 40, 50K, a normal 9 to 5-ish, income per year. And what would be your advice? Because that's what I want to delve into even more. The basics of life insurance, what somebody should know. I hear you say premiums. Honestly, to me, I hear that, but I'm kind of oblivious. I'm kind of naive to what exactly that means.
Yeah.
So what should that person know? If it's one or two or three or several things that they should know when opting in or signing up for life insurance. What are the things Reggie should know that he needs to understand when it comes to you're paying for this amount, you're paying for this amount? Because aren't there like different parts or something? To life
Absolutely.
insurance?
Yes. And I wanted to add, and thank you for clarifying the question. There are various types of life insurance policies that can fit in most budgets. Term life insurance is actually one that's very affordable. I like to call it a starter policy. So if you're, at the beginning stages of your entrepreneurship, or even if you're not, maybe you're just still trying to grow your business and budget is an issue. You can look at a term policy because those term policies are more affordable than other types of plans or long-term plans or UIL, which is index universal life. So it can get life insurance can get very basic and very not as complex, not the word, but very very intricate. Depending on the individual needs, the individual income, what their goals are for their life insurance. So if anyone that's having a budget issue or a budget is a concern, but they still want to have life insurance for their families, they can start off with a term life insurance policy. Okay. And you can get $50,000, $100,000. No, term life insurance policy or some life insurance policy is better than none.
So when I hear these numbers, like you just threw out like 50 and 100,000, what does that mean? Like, what does that cover?
So basically, that's what it covers. It covers that if you that's what we were referring to earlier about it being a death benefit. So if I have a $100,000 life insurance policy and I die, and I have my husband as a beneficiary, my husband gets that $100,000 given to him on the point of my death, tax free. Okay. And that's another thing that I would like for people to know is that life insurance death benefits are paid to your beneficiaries tax free.
This may seem like a stupid question, but I want to know: is this $100,000 one time or like yearly, annually?
You can set it up various ways. Most people just do it one time, but you can actually structure it out. They do have plans where you can structure it out. There's some plans where you can even structure it out monthly. So it almost acts like an income replacement. So if you get paid once a month and you're providing your lifestyle is a check that comes once a month, you can do it once a month or every 2 weeks. They have those life insurance policies out there that can pay your family just like that. Okay. But oftentimes, traditionally, it has been just one lump sum to the family members.
So when you say term, what does like term mean? Is it like term like? Yeah, I was wondering what does term mean? Why
term life insurance. So you really have two major types of life insurance policy. You have a term policy, which means short term. That's what that word term comes from. It means temporary or short term. And short term still can be long, but it still is not permanent. So that's the reason why they call it short. So like a 10-year term policy or 10-year temporary policy, 15-year, 20-year, 30 years. The longest term period of time coverage I've seen for life insurance policies are 30. Okay. So let's say you're 30 and you want to get a 30-year policy that's going to cover you for the next 30 years until you're age 60. Okay. At that time, that contract expires if you do nothing with it. Okay. In some cases, some companies will allow you to convert that policy before it runs out into a more permanent coverage, so it continues on. And again, you can.
So, is there a different name for after you surpass that time? Like, say, well, I'm 30, you get the 30-year, and it's 30-year term. Is there a different name? So
then you would convert it into a permanent policy. And within permanent coverage, there are different types of permanent plans you can purchase. You can purchase just a whole life policy where it just covers you from that age to age 100 to age 121 years to really make sure you're covered. There's some policies that this is where it can get sophisticated, and people that have high earning potential or like high earners or wealthy people will get life insurance policies that are tied into the market, tied into the stock market, to the S&P 500. And they put extra money in there to build cash value over time, and that's also tax-free.
Is that with the term, or is that only with permanent?
That's only with a permanent policy.
Okay.
They call those indexed life insurance policies because they're tied into the stock market.
So why wouldn't like the average person just go with permanent, knowing that because most people nowadays are living to their 50s and 60s versus going with the term? Is because the term, of course, may be cheaper or what?
That's exactly why. Most times, people will get a term policy because it's the easiest in terms of cost. It's cost. It's affordable. It's more affordable. And also there's some people that say, I have a home and I want to pass down my house to my family without a mortgage. So they may get a term policy for that specific reason. So let's say I buy a house. Most people buy a house for a 20-year mortgage or a 30-year mortgge,
Yeah.
and they'll get a 30-year policy, 30-year term policy for the same amount of coverage that they have on their mortgage. So in the event that they die, now they passed on a home without a mortgage to their family members. But most of the time, people are getting a term policy because it's just more affordable, and it's a way that they can have something because they can't afford the permanent policy. Because the permanent policy, the IUL policies, the policies that are tied into the index. So I know there's a lot of information out there on those. I see that all the time on Instagram.
Yeah.
Oh, life. You can get life insurance money. A life insurance plan that pay. That you can earn X, Y, Z, and it's true. But they are affordable. It's almost like it acts like an investment. It's a life insurance policy with an investment vehicle. And I don't recommend those for people that have not maybe maxed out on their 401k or retirement or whatever the case may be.
Which ones? What's those? The UL?
The UIL, which is the life insurance policy that's tied into the index.
Okay.
If you're just an average earner. Now, if you're a high earner, then you can do that. Meaning, if you're making $200,000 or more income, you want to get that type of policy.
Yeah.
I do prefer policies that are long term versus short term, and I'll tell you why. Statistics show that most people outlive their term insurance policy. They do. It's I think the insurance companies, it's 95% of term life insurance policies don't pay out because they're temporary, and most people outlive their term insurance. So if you're 30 years old and you bought a 30-year policy, you're 60, which these days is relatively young. It seems like we're living longer, actually. We might be dealing with health issues, but we are living longer than we did, 50, 60, 100 years ago. I think 100 years ago, the average life expectancy was 55. Or if you're 40 and you got a 20-year policy, again, the chances are that most people outlive their term policy.
So I guess my question,
which is okay. You just have to be very strategic in the way that you're stacking your insurance plans.
So I guess my question is, if I'm paying on this term insurance versus choosing the permanent insurance, say I get I've got a 30-year policy, I get to 60. That policy ends, now I'm like, okay, I want to go into the permanent policy. Will the money and it could be the same company, like with you, you're the same company. Will the money I use from that term be any way beneficial going into the permanent? Is starting over from the ground level?
It's like starting over. Because you think about this. So when you buy car insurance, right, or when you have car insurance, it's in case. Yeah. You have that in case. You have your insurance. You're paying on a monthly basis in case something happens. If nothing happens within that time that you've had your car insurance, you don't really get any money back.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with the term insurance. So if you outlived your term insurance or you're at a point where you need to do something with it because the contract is up, then you basically are just starting over into a new plan.
Okay.
So it's a death benefit.
Yeah.
Now, I will say that life insurance policies do now have, and they have had them for a while, what we call living benefits. So there's a lot of things to consider with life insurance beyond the death benefit. Does that make sense?
Elaborate.
Yeah. So you can get a term life insurance policy now that offers you what we call critical illness coverage. So if you become diagnosed with a critical illness and you have a year left to live, you can access 50%, in some cases 80% of your death benefit in advance. So if you have a $200,000 policy, you can get 80% or 50% of that in advance. So $100,000 in advance to be able to do what you need to do.
Okay. So my question is, say I'm gonna ask you from both perspectives, like term and permanent. Say I pay on my term life insurance, and like you said, I get a death-based illness that may affect me in the next year. But I only had insurance stay with you for one month. Will I only get 1 month of the value of my life insurance, or will I get that whole
You get the whole amount.
Like you say, if it's $100,000, like we talked about earlier. So it doesn't matter how long, as long as you had it, whether it's 1 month, 1 year, 10 years,
right,
a decade, whatever.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
I'll share a quick story if I have time.
We got time.
So I had a customer a few years ago. I'm in 14th year of my business. I might have been like 5 years into my insurance agency. I had a customer call me. He wanted to get life insurance. He was referred to me by another customer of mine that had life insurance. He wanted to meet that weekend because he was going to be going out of town for the holidays, but I was busy. So I have a partner that works with my customers for life and financial planning. So he met with him. He issued his life insurance policy in November, right before the Thanksgiving holiday. He ends up passing away in February of the following year. So just a few months later, so November, December, January, February. So 4 months later, he passes away. And he had a term life insurance policy for $500,000. $500,000. He passed away from pneumonia. He got sick, and he just, it just was crazy. But anyways, his wife, was a beneficiary of his policy. They had 3 kids. And thank God he purchased a life insurance policy because one of the children was a special needs child. And I think it was like autism, and they had him in a special school that was kind of costly. His wife worked part-time. And so it was sad, obviously, because, it's sad, but I'm so glad. That showed me like the power of life insurance.
So he was able to get that.
Yeah. So his wife got the $500,000. I think she opted to like structure it out, but she was able to keep her house. She was able to keep her kid in the school that he was at for his autism, and and to this day she's still a customer of mine, and we talk from time to time. But I just imagine I've seen what life insurance can do for people when they have it. And I've seen what happens to people's lifestyle and just the quality of their life or their situation when families don't have that in place.
That was my next question. It's like, you told me a success story. So like, what's a realistic horror story that kind of you heard or you may have been familiar with when somebody was like, dang, like only if they came to me or only if they had life insurance? Yeah.
I have that happen from time to time as well. Customers will call me like, did my husband have life insurance with you? I see that we had the auto in the home, but did he have life insurance? And I say no. And I can kind of see like the financial struggles of them not being able to pay their homeowner's insurance policy, if they're not being able to pay their auto. And then they call me and say, we're selling our home, so we have to cancel our policy just because now they're in a financial struggle. So I see that of my own customers, not to mention the people I just talked to and just people that share stories with me about what happens when their loved one has passed away and there's no life insurance there. We see it all the time on Instagram. People doing the GoFundMe's to try to do just a simple burial, not just to maintain, their house or their whatever. It's just to be able to put people, to lay them to rest. And we see that as like we need, GoFundMe for this person because they, didn't have life insurance, or they may not say they don't have life insurance, but we already know, they wouldn't be doing that if there's a life insurance policy in place. So it's critical. It's critical for that basic reason, but it's also, we talk a lot about, you hear about these days a lot about wealth building and generational wealth. I do believe that it's hard, really, really, really hard, unless you're making a lot of money. And even when people that make a lot of money still have life insurance, because now they have inheritance tax that people have to pay to get the wealth they're trying to pass down. But you can't really build wealth generation, or you can't build generational wealth without having life insurance in place. Because you're buying houses, you're investing in Airbnbs, you're investing in all these assets. Now something happens to you, you're thinking I'm building this for my legacy, for my kids, my grandkids. But I think it'd be hard for them to maintain that. Especially if the assets that you're building still have like maybe loans on them and things like that. So it's a financial tool. What life insurance is at the end of the day, what I would want people to know is a financial tool that people should look at how it works, how it can work for them and for their families.
So I want to step back into what you just said. You said life insurance can help to build wealth. So why do you think that's true? Or have you seen structurally or fundamentally that's true? Like buying life insurance for those who set it up properly from based off how you said leads to wealth for the future generations of the families.
Absolutely, because it allows you to keep the assets in the family. I'll give myself an example. I have the house I live in, and I purchased a house that I rent out for Airbnb, so I have 2 properties. They both have a mortgage on them. I have life insurance on myself because I want to pass that on to my family. Now, if I die today, they can have those houses, but they're still going to have that debt. Who's going to pay the mortgage to keep the house in the family? Okay. They might not be able to afford it. Yeah. So I die, I pass out my life insurance in addition to my property, so that are not able to either keep the note going or pay off the house and all together, and they're able to keep that house in their family or in my family. They keep it going, and now they have property. They have an asset that they can sell, resell. They can start a business. They can do multiple things.
Okay.
You know.
So that was my question. Yeah. So yeah, you get the life insurance, but a lot of people have mortgages. When you pass, say, God forbid you do pass, you pass it on to your family. Do you say you had a $200,000 mortgage outstanding, but you bought, like you said, the guy did a $500,000 plan? Does that $200,000 get subtracted for the $500,000? So therefore, your life insurance pays the full mortgage, and then your family will get $300,000, or how does that go?
It depends on how you set it up. So there is when you do a life insurance plan, there's so many ways. That's why when people ask me for like a quote or whatever, or what do I need, it's like this has to be a sit down conversation, because it really is based on your plan, based on your goals and what you're trying to achieve. So if I'm trying to achieve being able to pay off my mortgage if I die, and have my house go to my beneficiary death mortgage free, then I want to set up my life insurance plan to have what's called a collateral asset rider. So that means that whatever mortgage I have on there gets paid off, and then the rest goes to my family. So you're exactly right. So I can set it up that way. When I buy that policy, I have to tell the insurance company how I want this money to flow. So I have to put that on there with my mortgage company. I set it up so that it gets paid off. Or I can just give the money to my family members, and I just put it in my will. Pay off the mortgage. The house is yours, mortgage free.
Okay, so you get them the option if they want to keep.
If you want to, yeah. There's so many ways that you can structure the beneficiaries of your life insurance and how you want it to set up. You can, like we talked about earlier, you can set it up to be paid in a lump sum. You can set it up to be paid monthly or yearly or whatever the case may be. You can set it up to where if your main goal of your life insurance policy is to make sure that your properties get to your beneficiaries mortgage free, you can do a collateral assignment so that mortgage is paid off and then the rest goes to them.
So okay, I guess, and I have so many questions, but with that, so say like you set up your life insurance plan, you're my broker, is that the correct term? Or no? Or just my agent. So I buy another house, and I bought this $500,000 plan. Originally, the only house I had was for $200K, but now I just bought my second house, and this house was, we'll say, for $700K. So now I have two houses that equal $900K, but I only have a insurance plan that's $500K. How is it strenuous or tedious to update that plan based off of wanting to include that collateral change, or what's your
No, it's really simple. Actually, you just request an increase of that coverage, and you will have to go through a medical exam. But yeah, it's really simple. It's really simple to do to update it. I will give a rule of thumb to our viewers on how much life insurance you should get, because I did get that question asked all the time. Well, how much life insurance do I need? I would like to tell people to take an inventory of what they have. First of all, take an inventory of your income. So if you're making $100,000 a year, just to keep it simple, you want to multiply that by X amount of years. And if you have a child, I would use the X amount of years to be from what the age that child is until they become an adult, right? So let's say you have a 10-year-old child and you want your life insurance policy to replace your income until at least they're 18. So that's at least 8 years. So you want to multiply your annual income times 8 years. That's a good rule of thumb. It's not perfect, but it's a good rule of thumb. So 100,000 times 8 years. I think we underestimate the financial value that we bring to our families. Yeah, just think about like if you were not here today to provide the financial, whatever that financial income is, or the financial support to your family member, what that would look like. What would their life look like?
That's I'm glad you said that.
Yeah.
I think a lot of us don't think like that.
Yeah.
Especially
we just think from day to day, because we're all trying to make it. We're all trying to get up and work and what have you. And so, but that's my job as an insurance professional, is that I'm insuring your house, right? Which I want to insure your house because it's important. You live there, and the mortgage company is going to require you to insure it, right? Why are they required you to insure it? Because they understand the value of that house and the monetary value of that house. Car insurance, you're required to have it. Why are you required to have it? Because You don't want to be driving around and hitting someone else and making them lose their value and their transportation to be able to go somewhere. So what about yourself, though? No one is asking you to do that. So this is something that doesn't come upon us to say, you know what, no one can replace you if you die. Obviously, we're one human being, and no one can replace the emotional value that you bring to your family. But you can do something about the financial loss, because we just live in a world where things cost money. So if you can ensure your income and your ability to still provide for your family even when you're not here, we can do that. We should be able to do that.
Yeah.
And there's multiple ways to do it, just to keep it simple, because I know we talked a lot about term life insurance and whole life insurance and index life insurance. Wherever you are in your situation, there is some type of plan. But you want to know, what I want people to know is that you want to revisit those plans as your life changes, as your income changes, so that you're in the right plan for the time that you're in, for the season that you're in your life.
So how would an individual even know when to revisit? What would be like some things you would say, okay, these are changes in your life where you need to revisit?
Yeah. Well, if you're working with a local agency like me, we reach out to our existing customers like on an annual basis or on every couple of year basis. So if you already have some sort of plan, so let's say you come to me, we do an evaluation, and we come to the decision that a term life insurance policy right now works for your budget and for where you are, then we put that into place. Now you're covered. Now you can go and do what you got to do, having that peace of mind that if something happened to you today, you have something covered. You're covered for something, and you're good for at least 10 years, 15 years, 20, 30, whatever the plan that you purchased, at least, right? But we want to check in on you, and your agent should be checking in on you every couple of years to say, hey, we need to do a policy review. Has anything changed? Have you added any more children? Have you added any more properties? Are you now in a financial position to put this into a more permanent plan? Are you in a financial position to put this to have the life insurance policy go into the index, the IUL, the where you can actually earn more money on your life insurance, or earn money as you still have the death benefit for your family. So that's how that happens. So it's important how you go about your life insurance. I know there's so many ways that you can purchase life insurance. I would not do online.
Okay.
I would speak to a professional.
Why wouldn't you do online?
Because as we're talking, you can see how complex and intricate it can be. When you go online, they don't really take the time to understand your individual needs and to explain all this. It's very detail oriented. We usually spend about an hour just understanding what our customers need and putting a plan together, and sometimes even a day or two. Because there's questions, just like when when you're asking me questions, there's a lot of back and forth. Sometimes what happens online is that people are just buying a cheap policy. It's like, oh, this is life insurance, let me get it.
Yeah.
And then sometimes they find out that it only pays in a very specific way. That's a pitfall that I try to tell my customers to kind of stay away from. A lot of the .com life insurance plans are what we call accident plans. They only pay out if you die in an accident, which is why they're so affordable, like $10, $15. Have you ever seen those advertisements? I would think twice about, definitely ask questions about what does this cover? Is there anything that wouldn't be covered? Kind of a thing. So you definitely want to get with a professional to do an evaluation.
Especially because I think now when I see a lot of those promotions on social media or just media in general, like you'll see, get your life insurance plan in 5-10 minutes. No hassle.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, what do you think about those? Like, because we're such where we're at currently in with our generation, the evolution of technology and time. People just want so many things quick.
Yeah, they want it efficient, quick.
They don't want to take long. Like, even myself, I can honestly think with just how time constraints are for me personally, professionally. It's like, if I can go online and apply for life insurance and get approved, and think I'm good in a matter of 10 minutes versus, let's say 5 minutes, versus sitting down with you, spending 5 hours out of,
It shouldn't be 5 hours.
Well, 1 minute. We'll take it down to the ones. Who knows?
An hour,
1 minute, 2 minutes, get approval for life insurance and just put my card number in and then not have to worry about this anymore.
Yeah.
Versus going and, meeting in person with
you
for like an hour or two. Like, what's your kind of your assessment on that?
Yes. So it's quality over quantity. I think, and a lot of those life insurance policies, I can't speak to them because I don't know. I don't want to disparage any company. I don't really even know for a fact that all those companies out there, those 10, 15 minute get a quote, get insured right away, are not quality. I don't know for sure, but from my personal experience, what I've seen is that those tend to be very stripped down type of plans. Because most insurance companies with their skin, because like life insurance is based on your life. Like so I have to evaluate your risk. So if an insurance company is worth anything, they really want to know the customer. They want to know your hobbies. They want to know your health, your overall health. They're taking a risk because they're saying if you buy a policy on day one, you're insured. I'm going to pay up $500,000, just like my customer, the story that I shared.
Yeah.
They did a physical on him, and they did just double check to make sure there was no false information given because they're getting ready to write a check for $500,000. So most insurance companies do require
I
exams.
was gonna ask.
So and if they don't, a lot of times, yeah.
So say like you got somebody like Anthony and I, like in our mid-20s or people in their earlier 20s, do they have to get a physical too?
They do, but there's some plans that if you're at a certain age and based on the dollar amount of coverage, there may be a waiver. Like it's anyway. So yeah, there's some rare cases, but most times they do require it. So the life insurance plans that are online or on Instagram, I would just ask more questions. You know how you've heard the old age, if something is too good to be true, it probably is. True. Life insurance policies really should take because it's important. That's how important it is.
Yeah.
It's super, super important because this is coverage that you're purchasing for yourself.
Yeah.
You know, the car insurance you're purchasing for the car, the house you're purchasing for the structure of it, but this is for you and your family. So it's a little bit more important.
So let me backtrack to what you said. Like, do you think it's better the individual before they even come and apply for life insurance that they go get the physical, or do you, being the company, have a specific physician that you want the physical to be done by?
Most companies will have their own. It's not their own, but it's like a third party. It's a lab. They just send your blood work to a lab. They have like a nurse that comes, does your lab work and send it off to a lab to be done. So they try to make it like non-biased. It's not yours and it's not theirs. It's just this like company that they're contracted. They have no interest in one way or the other in terms of the lab results.
It's better to be myself being an individual to go again find the company sought after that I want to seek the insurance from. Then after that, take your recommendation or requirement of physician versus using my own. Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. So how does it go for because a lot of entrepreneurs when they initially start, or when they're going through their first couple of years, because health insurance is so high.
Health insurance is expensive.
How does it go? Yeah, for the entrepreneur who may not have health insurance but wants life insurance, can that be done or no? So you can get life insurance but not have health insurance.
Absolutely, life insurance is completely independent of medical insurance.
And that's what I was wondering.
Yeah, the corporations, they try to build a benefit package to attract employees. So they will have several things that they offer to their employees. Some being medical, some being life, some being dental, or whatever the case may be. So they build it that way as a benefit to you, like as an add-on or an extra for you to be employed with them. But you still can purchase life insurance outside of we have a lot of my customers actually have life insurance at work. But if you're an employee versus an entrepreneur, you still want to get life insurance outside of work. Why? Because you don't know, that's not portable. Like if you leave that company, you can't take it with you. If you decide that at one point you do want to be an entrepreneur, now you don't have those benefits again. They don't go with you. But yes, absolutely. As an entrepreneur, you can purchase life insurance individual from anything. Like
you don't have to have any verification or health insurance, any of that. So let me ask. We talked about like the term and the permanent and the UILs. UILs. So
or IUL, excuse me. It's Index Universal Life Policy.
Okay. So the first two. From just, you don't have to give me, of course, exact numbers, but what's the average and the difference? Because obviously being the person who thinks logically and wisely, you're going to want to go with the permanent because it just seems more, it seems better, for you in general. But what, from what you've seen, maybe you could say low end, term versus low end, whole versus high end, term versus high end whole. What's like the average like monthly payments that you think like the person was? I think that scares us a lot too. Like we think sometimes I don't, even myself, I know people around me don't research it because they're just scared. Just in general, they feel like it's going to be astronomical or just something you can't honestly maintain.
Yeah,
most of your life. So.
Yeah. It's hard to give a range because it's so like I was saying, it's so specific because it's based on your age, it's based on your gender, it's based on your overall health, it's based on the dollar amount that you get, how much you want to invest. Because if you're doing especially the IUL, you can put so much into it. So the more you put into it, the bigger your return because it's like tied into the market. So it varies. But term life insurance policy, those are very simple. I can tell you on those. Like it can range from $30 to $100 depending on how much coverage you want. Yeah. Life insurance. The term life insurance is a really affordable way to have life insurance. Now, again, going back to the statistics, 95% of them don't pay out because most people outlive their life insurance. But when I sell those to my customers or when I offer them, because that's maybe where they are in their budget, is that we always say, okay, we're going to have a conversation in the next year or two or next couple of years to see if you want to transition over into if you're in a position to transition over into a permanent policy. Now, that same example I gave you earlier with my customer that died from pneumonia, he had a term policy. They do pay out. It's just not, most people just tend to outlive them. The permanent life insurance policy, it's almost like owning versus renting. The term insurance is almost like renting because it's for short term.
So it's going to be cheaper.
It's going to be cheaper, right?
Yeah.
And then the permanent policies are more expensive. The premiums are higher because you're getting coverage for a lifetime, essentially.
Okay. So you're saying basically if I'm in my early to mid 20s and I get a term life insurance plan for, we'll just keeping it $20 per month, and we'll just say 50 maybe to keep it midway. Then I see another permanent life insurance plan for 50. Really is kind of no difference if they're both covering the same things. Like we'll say 500K on the end of it. Is it like really any difference if I'm paying 50 for the term that gives 500K out, or 50 for the whole that pays 500K, or what do you think?
Yeah, so the permanent policy is not going to be the same price as the permanent. That's a term policy.
Never will. No, you're not.
It's always more expensive.
I can't go to
It's like comparing a Toyota to Mercedes Benz. Like it's just they're not going to be they're not going to be the same price. They're both cars, but they do they're not going to be. It's not going to be the same.
Okay,
I don't know if that makes sense.
Hey, I get you. It kind of makes sense. So you said, like when you have certain cars that are going to last longer due to the quality.
Right. So they're just. So a $500,000 permanent policy is not going to be the same price as a $500,000 term policy. It just isn't.
Okay, so you basically probably get more if you go with the whole life of the permanent. That's $500 versus the term life $500. Okay, that makes sense. So let's get into the nitty gritty. A lot of people, I think for myself as being younger, just in hearing in general social media, you see you hear about the scams of life insurance. Like, oh, it's not worth it. Life insurance is a scam. Da 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 da. Like, have you ever heard about that? And heard people talk about that? Like, don't do life insurance. Have you heard the bad side?
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out. I don't know that I've heard. I hear people say the insurance is a scam all the time. Insurance in general. Yeah. I've never heard specifically life insurance, but I would like to know what part of that is a scam. Nobody dead has said that if they had life insurance. I'd say that right now.
Yeah. So I think that's the thing. Like, oh, you don't need life insurance. I don't know. Maybe it was just myself being in the community and my ethnicity, but I would hear that, I even had people within my family, they'd be like, nah, don't worry about life insurance right now. You're young, you don't need it. Earlier mid-20s, maybe kind of get into those earlier 30s. Wait till you get my age, late 40s, 50s, 60s.
I think there's a lot of misinformation and misconception about what it is. I think that's where I would start with that, because I think sometimes people think that life insurance is about them. And I do have these type of conversations. I want you to know that life insurance is not about you, really. It can be because of the living benefits. But ultimately, life insurance policy is about your family. It's about your dependents. And it's about the legacy that you're trying to build once you're not here. Okay. So if you understand that, then maybe you won't have that type of mindset that it's a scam. Because it's not really for you. Because we're all going to die at some point. Yeah. True. So it's either you're going to die with life insurance or you're going to die without life insurance. Yeah. And again, going back to the GoFundMes, we see people dying without life insurance all the time. Yeah. And now people are asking other people to help them with what they could have really done for themselves. And in some cases they can. I know not everybody has money to buy life insurance, right? And some people may not be in the best health even to qualify for life insurance as well. So I don't know when they say it's a scam, I don't know where they're coming from. I don't know what part of that. I think it's maybe because lack of understanding. They don't understand what it's really supposed to do. So once you understand what it's supposed to do, or what it does, then you won't feel this negative thoughts about it.
Yeah.
Because I can tell you the people that I have insured and their families have life insurance, they will tell you life insurance is not a scam.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
My customer that I was just telling you that got this $500,000 check from her husband passing away, she wouldn't consider it a scam. And she just wouldn't. You know, she's still living in her house to this day. You know, her kids are taken care of. She's invested some of the money into various things. So she wouldn't consider it a scam, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't know what people.
I think you hit.
It just depends.
Right
it depends on what their experiences are with it.
I think you hit right for me. I think on the point where you said misinformation, because I think a lot of us, and that's this may just be my perspective, but in the minority community, we're misinformed because that was something that we weren't privy to. You know, like in previous generations. You know, from I see my family members and close friends and stuff like that. So when you hear about life insurance, it's not like we were forced. Like you said, we weren't forced to get life insurance. Like we were forced to get auto insurance. We're forced to get health insurance. So we know why those are needed. But,
yeah.
We never were privy to the values of life insurance.
Right.
You know why? So that's why I think.
And sometimes people don't understand what they're buying, which goes back to the question you had asked me earlier about those, online 10-minute, you can get approved right away. They don't know that they're buying. They don't always know what they're buying. They think they're buying life insurance, and they have an idea of what that policy should look like. And then it's like $15 a month. They didn't go with the medical, and then their loved one died, and then they try to file a claim. And they said, "I'm sorry, your dad had a heart attack. This policy covers if he died in an accident or a shooting or a ski accident. It's an accident plan. It's an accident life insurance policy." So now they're upset because they're like, life insurance is a scam because I bought, my dad bought life insurance. They told me no. That's why you can't just buy it online without fully understanding or really understanding what it is. Sometimes those real, quick, whatever. I just want people to really understand that life insurance, and even in car insurance, even home insurance, people really need to understand what they're buying. We spend a lot of time consulting our customers and reviewing their policies. That's another reason why it's good to have a local person that you can talk to, because you can have those meaningful conversations about what is covered, what isn't covered, what are you really buying. So you can set the expectation. So when people understand what they're buying and what they're getting, they're not surprised when it's not covered one way or the other. So I think that's what it is. But sometimes technology has made things great, and we understand it, and I love it that technology has really pushed us forward. But in some ways, it's made us a little bit more lazy. It's like instead of taking an hour to have a conversation with a professional about what type of life insurance policy works best for you and your family, it's just easier to go online and buy it. And online companies, they just want to sell policies. They don't really care about you as an individual. At the end of the day, they just want to make a sell. And you just want to purchase something just so you can feel like, oh, I got it. And then your family tries to file a claim, and then they're like, oh, he only bought a policy that covers him when he dies in an accident. Now everybody's mad, and everybody thinks insurance is a scam.
So let me ask you this. So I don't know if this is or isn't your expertise, but you hear about life insurance, you hear about wills. Now you're starting to hear more about trust. Like, from what you may or may not know, like, what do you feel is needed? If all three are needed, if two or one are needed, and like, what would be your advice on like securing the bag to make sure you're good for when that time comes for your family? Like, is the foundation life insurance? Do you go wills, or is it vice versa? And I think I hear about trust too now. Like,
I wish I had my pyramid. I have a financial pyramid, and life insurance and insurance is really at the top of that. Insurance is literally the foundation for the rest of it.
So
right?
The life insurance is at the bottom. It's the foundation.
I'm sorry, it's the foundation. It's at the bottom. It's at the bottom. So the life insurance is the foundation of it all, because everything that you're building on top of it, if you lose it, the life insurance replaces it. If you got lost, which is what the life insurance death benefit, it replaces all of that you're trying to build for your family. So life insurance is at the core. Then you want to build your financial assets, your income, your whatever wealth building tools that you have, your business, and you want to put that, you want to tie it with a bow with a wheel.
Mm-hmm.
Now, trust, that is a little bit out of my scope, but I know those are needed when you really have a lot of assets. And so I would definitely speak to a professional on trust, but a will, I have a will.
Yeah.
You know, I don't have any kids. I don't have a spouse.
Yeah.
But I have assets, and I'm a business owner. And I would like the assets that I'm building, that I have now, to go to my family.
Yeah.
You know, I want them. I worked hard for it.
Yeah.
I don't want it to just be. I don't want Wells Fargo to take my house.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
So you being the insurance company, did you set up the will yourself, or you went through somebody else?
I went through an attorney.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that was my question, because I think, again, that's another thing. That's all.
Mm-hmm.
We got to get somebody else here on the podcast who can give us that in-depth knowledge.
Yes, I actually know someone. I wonder if she'd be willing to come and speak on the one that did she did my will.
Is she in Houston?
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah,
she's an attorney.
I appreciate you giving this knowledge, because that's what I'm hearing, and then from the will and then trust, and so I don't know if this next question, if it is or isn't within your expertise, but now I'm hearing more and more about, and like I've been going to financial literacy conferences and stuff like that, and they're putting out knowledge about how you use your life insurance to kind of flip and make you a millionaire, make money off of it. Mm-hmm. And have you heard anything about that recently, or have you been hearing these ways?
Yeah.
Excuse me, how people are using the money, from their life insurance. I don't know if it's legal or illegal, but that's another question. But, to be able to fund them or finance themselves, or kind of like get a loan, I guess. And I don't know too much in there, but I've been seeing it out there. We were kind of getting loans off of their life insurance, loans off their, I guess, trust or life insurance or individual. But have you heard anything about that or know anything about that?
Yes. And I think some of that is exaggerated. For what I'm seeing on the Instagram is people are leaving out critical information. They say, oh yeah, you can get life insurance, and then you can get a loan off of it, and then everything's they're like selling these things.
Like basically talking about being your own bank off your own life insurance.
So we talked about the index life insurance. Those are the plans where you can put money into it and they grow, and it grows. That takes time. Some of the stuff that I've been seeing on Instagram, I feel like they're not giving out all of the information. You can't just buy a life insurance policy where you can just get a loan day one. It takes time for that money to grow, and then once it grows, you can withdraw that cash, or you can borrow against it to do the things that you need to do. But those take time. Okay. And I think that's the part that people are not saying. Yeah. I feel like there's a lot of like half truths, or some information, but not some correct information, but there's some critical pieces missing. Yeah. So I want to encourage people to be really careful on some of the advice that they're taking from some of the social media experts. I would want to get with people that have been in the life insurance business for a long time, that represent a company that's been around for a long time, and talk with them. They'll share with you information about those life insurance plans, like the index life insurance, the variable life insurance plans that that earns cash value. They will tell you that it does take time for the savings to build to where you can get money off of it. Because sometimes people would make it seem like you just do that on day one.
Yeah, like literally, like you take the course, you get this life insurance plan, and so they're like, you got to make sure they know the right ones to pick, and then it just seems like after you finish this course, in a matter of how long, whatever it takes you, whether it's a couple days, couple weeks, a couple months, boom, you're gonna be able to be your own bank. Yeah. And so which I'm seeing a lot now. Yeah. Actually, myself and one of my teammates did.
I would love to see that happen from that person that says that, because I've been in the insurance business for 20 years. There's not a policy that you can purchase on day one, month one, not even year one, where you can, earn cash value enough to withdraw from it.
Yeah,
it takes time.
It's like being your own bank. Yeah.